I've scored perfect 800s on the math section of back-to-back SAT tests, and in today's video, I'll be doing a speed run of digital SAT practice test 4's math sections. This will include both section 1 and section 2, each of which you are given 35 minutes for on the digital SAT for a total of 70 minutes combined for the two sections. So with all that being said, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's go ahead and get started with question number 1. A group of students voted on 5 after-school activities. The bar graph shows the number of students who voted for each of the 5 activities. How many students chose activity 3? We see we have activity 3 here. Our y-axis is our number of students. We just go over to our y-axis. We see it's somewhere around 38 or 39. We got option A, 25, option B, 39, C, 48, and D, 50. So our answer's got to be 39. We can move on to question number 2. What percentage of 300 is 75? So we do 75 divided by 300. We have to multiply by 100 to get it to our percent. So 75 over 300 is 0.25. 0.25 times 100 will give us 25%. So our answer's got to be A. We can go ahead and move on to question 3. Now is a great time to go ahead and like the video if you have not liked the video yet. Here's question number 3. What is a solution to the given equation? We got x squared over this. Let's go ahead and isolate x squared by multiplying both sides by 25. Then we need to take the square root of each side to isolate the value of x. So now we've got x is equal to the square root of 36 times 25. From here, we're going to put that in our calculator and we'll see what we get. Okay, so we got square root. Hang on, my calculator's bugging out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we got square root of 36 times 25, and that'll give us 30. So x must equal 30. So our answer has got to be answer choice B. We can go ahead and move on to question number 4. We've got 3 more than 8 times the number x. So in other words, 3 plus 8x is equal to 83. Which equation represents this situation? Well, we've already got our equation written down. That's going to have to be 8x plus 3 equals 83. So our answer has got to be D. We can go and move on to question number 5. And if you have not followed or subscribed to my channel yet, please go ahead and do that. Okay, it does take me a little bit of time to switch sides that I'm screencasting, so that's what those brief pauses are. Here's question 5. Hannah deposited a fixed amount in her bank account each month. Function f of t equals 100 plus 25t gives the amount in dollars in Hannah's bank account after t monthly deposits. What is the best interpretation of 25 in this context? F of t is the total amount in her bank account. That is increasing by $25 every t times, or in other words, every monthly deposit increases the value of her account by 25. So we have option A, with each monthly deposit, the amount in Hannah's bank account increased by $25. Yes, that's perfect. We can go and move on to question number 6. A customer spent $27 to purchase oranges at $3 per pound. How many pounds of oranges did the customer purchase? A trick you can use to make sure you're setting up your equation correctly is you have $27. You need to ultimately get your answer in pounds, which we'll call LBS. In order to do that, we need to divide by dollars per pound. We see that we have $3 per pound. So 27 divided by 3 is going to give us 9. As you can see, your dollar signs cancel out. You're left with your number of pounds. So that would equal 9 pounds. So our answer there would be 9. We can go and move on to question number 7 now. We got Nasir bought 9 storage bins that were each the same price. So we have 9, and we'll use B for bins. He used a coupon for $63 off the entire purchase. The cost for the entire purchase after using the coupon is $27. So cost is $27. He gets $63 off. What was the original price in dollars for 1 storage bin? Solve for B. We're going to add 63 to both sides. That'll give us 90 is equal to 9B. From there, we'll divide both sides by 9 to isolate the value of B. 90 over 9 will give us 10. So 1 bin costs $10. We can move on to question number 8. Now is a great time to go ahead and comment at one of your friends so that they can watch this video as well and prepare for the digital SAT with you. Here's question number 8. We've got table x and f of x for linear function f. Table shows 3 values of x and their corresponding values of f of x. Which equation defines f of x? We have a y-intercept of 29 since that's where x is 0. So that means we can go ahead and get rid of b and we can get rid of d. Next thing we need is our slope. We have 3 versus 35. We go over by 1 and we go up by 3. So our slope is 3 and our answer has to be A. And we can move on to question number 9. If we go down here, we got 2 triangles. We got right triangles PQR and STU are similar, where P corresponds to S, so P corresponds to S. If the measure of angle Q is 18, well, that means T is also going to be 18. What is the measure of angle S? Well, that's just 90 minus 18, which would give us 72. Okay, so key thing there is just understanding similar triangles, match the corresponding angle, and then solve. So we got 72 for B. We can go move on to, did I circle it? Okay, I did circle it. We can go ahead and move on to number, let's see, go and switch sides on the screen. Okay, there's question number 10. So we've got scatter plot above, scatter plot shows a relationship between 2 variables, x and y. Which of the following equations is the most appropriate linear model for the data shown? Okay, I'm going to look for my y-intercept somewhere between 8 and 9, it looks like. We've got a negative slope. That negative slope's something around -1. So we've got option A, 0.9 and 0.9. Those are both going to be wrong. We got C, 9.4 and 9.4. We have a negative slope, so C is wrong. We can go ahead and answer with D. Next thing we can do is we can go ahead and move on to question number 11. We've got given equation describes relationship between number of birds, B, and the number of reptiles, R, that can be cared for at a pet care business on a given day. If the business cares for 16 reptiles on a given day, how many birds can it care for on this day? Well, if we can plug in 16 for the value of R, okay, 5 times 16 will be 80. So I'm just going to erase that and put 80 is equal to 80. That means that B has to be then 0. Okay, we have to have 2.5 times 0 for this to work out. So number of birds would have to be 0. So our answer would be A. We can go and move on to question number 12. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch sides of my screen. We got question number 12. All right, looks like we got a graph. What is an equation of the graph shown? Okay, so here I see my graph goes in at -8. Looks like all of these have -8, so that's fine. We can go ahead and take a look at our slopes then. We know our slope's gonna be negative, so we can get rid of B and we can get rid of D. Next thing we see is we need to find our slope. We go down by 2 and we go over by 2. Always pay attention to what you're incrementing on your X and Y axes. In this case, it's both by 2s. Okay, so down 2 and over 2 means our slope is -1, so our answer there would be C. So always pay attention to your increments. From here, we can go and move on to question number 13. We got if x over 8 is equal to 5, what's the value of 8 over x? Well, 8 over x is the reciprocal of x over 8. So we take the reciprocal of 5 over 1, which is 1 over 5. So that'll give us our answer very quickly. We can go and move on to question number 14. We got a system of equations. A solution to the given system of equations is x, y. What's the value of y? To solve for y, I'm going to look to get rid of x. I've got 6x, so I'll multiply that by 4. That'll give me 24x. I'll do minus then. So 24x minus 24x gets rid of x. Then we have y minus 4y gives us -3y. Then we have 48 minus 4 times 72. Let me go ahead and put in 4 times 72 on my calculator. So that'll give me 48 minus 288. Which will give us -240, so equals -240. From there, our negative signs will cancel, and then we'll have 240 over 3, which means that y must equal 80. So our answer there would have to be 80, and we can go ahead and move on to question. Always pay attention to what you're asked to answer with, by the way. In this case, value of y, it's not y plus 1 or anything like that. So always make sure you do watch out for that on the digital SAT math section. And here's question number 15. So we got line T in the XY plane has a slope of -1/3 and passes through the point 910. Which equation defines line T? All right, so a slope of -1/3. We've got option A and B both have the wrong slope. These two have the right slope. They have different y-intercepts. We know that we pass through the point 910, and we have a slope of -1/3. So I'll quickly draw what this would look like. Okay, we've got 9 and 10. So our point would be somewhere here. We have a negative slope, which means we have to look like this. That means we cannot cross the y-intercept at 10. We'd have to be something above that. So we'd have to have answer choice D. C would have to be incorrect. We can go and move on to question 16. Function f of x equals 206 times 1.034 to the power of x models the value in dollars of a certain bank account by the end of each year from 1957 to 1972. Always pay attention to years, where x is the number of years after 1957. Which of the following is the best interpretation of f of 5 is approximately equal to 243 in this context? Well, f of 5 means that it's 5 years after 1957, so the year is now 1962. Okay, 1962. And we know our value is equal to 243. So we've got option A, the value of the bank account is estimated to be approximately $5 greater in 1962 than in 1957. Well, we go from 206 to 243, so that's a difference of 37, not 5. So A is wrong. We can look at B. The value of the bank account is estimated to be approximately $243 in 1962. That's perfect. We can go ahead and move on to question number 17 now. And if you have not subscribed or hit the follow button, please go ahead and do that so that you can continue to prep for the digital SAT alongside me, so that way you can improve. Here's question number 17. For a certain rectangular region, the ratio of its length to width is 35 to 10. So that means L is going to equal 35 over 10 times W, where W is width, L is length. If the width of the rectangular region increases by 7 units, how must the length change to maintain this ratio? Okay, so we can change this W to an increase of 7. So I'll just put arrow sign up of 7. Well, that means our length then must increase by 35 over 10 times 7, which is the same as 3.5 times 7, which would give us 24.5. So that would be an increase of 24.5. We're not decreasing, we'd have to increase. Okay, so our answer has got to be B. We can go and move on to question number 18. We've got square P has a side length of x inches. Square Q has a perimeter that is 176 inches greater than the perimeter of square P. The function gives the area, the function f gives the area of square Q in square inches. Which of the following defines f? All right, well, we need to find the side length for square Q, because we know the area of square Q is the side length squared. So we need the side length of Q. We know square P has side length of X. Square Q has a perimeter that's 176 inches greater than the perimeter of square P. So we can take that difference in perimeter and divide it by the 4 sides to give us how much greater the side of square P is. So 176 over 4 will give us 44. Now keep in mind that square P has side length X. We have to add that 44 onto X. So the side length then is going to equal X plus 44. So side length of Q is X plus 44. Therefore, the area then would be A equals S squared, which is A is equal to X plus 44 squared. So the answer choice A. From here, we can go ahead and move on to question 19. And now is a great time to go ahead and share this video to your Snapchat story or to your Instagram story so that you can help your friends and maybe your classmates prepare for the digital SAT as well. Here's question number 19. Given equation relates to distinct positive real numbers W, X, and Y, which equation correctly expresses W in terms of X and Y? All right, in this case, we just got to rearrange these variables. So I'm going to start by isolating this root W plus 19. So I'll divide both sides by 2, divide both sides by 2. 2 times 7 is 14. That will cancel here and here. Now I've got X over Y. From there, I'm going to square both sides. We have X over Y all squared, and then we'll square the square root to get rid of it. So from there, I'm going to end up with X over Y, and that's all being squared is equal to W plus 19. I'll subtract 19 from both sides to get the value of W. That'll get me W is equal to X over Y squared minus 19. 19. If we look at our answer choices, that doesn't match A, doesn't match B, does match C, so C will be our answer there. We can go and move on to question number 20 now. We've got point O is the center of a circle, so I'll quickly draw that out. Anytime you have circles or triangles, try to draw them out. It's very helpful. Measure of arc RS on the circle is 100 degrees. So we got RS is 100 degrees. That's the arc, it says. What's the measure in degrees of its associated angle ROS? Well, that also must be 100 degrees, so our answer there would have to be 100. From there, we can go move on to question number 21. We've got expression and then all this. I'm going to zoom in so that you guys can see this a little bit better because I know it's written small since we have all these exponents. Okay, and I'll scroll through so we can see the full question. We got the expression, and then all this is equivalent to ax to the power of b, where a and b are positive constants and x is greater than 1. What is the value of a plus b? Always pay attention to what you're asked to answer with, in this case, the value of a plus b. That being said, let's go ahead and simplify this down. So we've got 6 times 5th root of 3 to the 5th. Well, that's going to be the same as 6 times 3 to the power of 5 over 5, which is 3 to the power of 1, which is just 3. Next thing we have is x to the 45 over 5, which would give us x to the power of 9. And then we have 2 to the power of 8 over 8, which is the same as multiplying by 2. And then we have x to the power of 1 over 8. So x to the power of 1 over 8. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and combine our similar terms. Let's start with our constant. 6 times 3 is 18, times 2 is 36. And then we're going to have x to the power of 9 times x to the power of 1 over 8. We'll take this 9, we'll multiply it by 8. That'll give us 72. So now we have x to the power of 72 over 8. From here, we can go ahead and sum these together, and that will give us multiplying x times x to the power of 72 over 8 times x to the power of 1 over 8 means you sum the exponents, which will give you 73 over 8. From here, we now have this in the form of ax to the power of b, which we needed to get, as you can see over there. So that means that a is going to equal 36. We can write that a is equal to 36. And we know that b then is equal to 73 over 8. Now, since we need to add these, we need to get a common denominator. So I'll take 36 and I'm going to have to multiply it by 8. I'll put that in my calculator very quickly. 36 times 8 is going to give us 288. So now we have 288 over 8 plus 73 over 8. 288 plus 73, I'll put in my calculator. That gets us 361. So our final answer then will be 361 over 8. Okay, I got to draw this pretty big. All right, so there's 361 divided by 8 will be our answer there. All right, so let me zoom back out and we can go and keep moving. All right, so there's question number 21. Okay, I'll go ahead and move on to 22. So I got to switch sides and then scroll up. All right, so here's question number 22. I think I do need to zoom out again. So let me go ahead and try to do that. And I also just realized I forgot to start my stopwatch. So let me just go ahead and take that off the screen since it's not going to be useful anymore. Okay, so from here, we got question number 22. So we got a right triangle has side lengths of 2 root 2, 6 root 2, and root 80. What is the area of the triangle in square units? Okay, so let's go ahead and draw this out. Like I've said before, triangles and circles questions, always try to draw out 2 root 2. I know has to be one of my lengths. And then as far as what the hypotenuse is, I'm going to take this 6 root 2 and convert it all into being underneath the square root. To do that, I'll take 6, I square it, that's 36. 36 times 2 is equal to root 72. So I can write that as root 72. I see that that's going to be less than root 80. So root 80 is here. And then we have 6 root 2 over here. From here, I'm asked for the area. We know that the area of a triangle is going to be 1/2 the base times the height. So in other words, b times h over 2. We'll go ahead and plug in our base, which will be 2 root 2 times 6 root 2, which is the height. And we have to divide all that by 2. We see our 2's are going to cancel here. Root 2 times 2 is going to give you 2. So you have 6 times 2. 6 times 2 is 12. So 12 would have to be our answer there. That's going to be answer choice B. From there, we can go and move on to question number 23. We've got the expression 4x squared plus bx minus 45, where b is a constant, can be rewritten as hx plus k times x plus j, where h, k, and j are integer constants. Anytime you're told something is an integer, positive, negative, maximum, minimum, always pay attention to it. In this case, we have integer constants, which of the following must be an integer. More than likely, we're probably looking at it being the value of h, k, j, or some sort of constant number like 45 being divided by a number that we know, and that ending up to be an integer. So with that being said, let's go ahead and solve for h, k, and j. So h, k, and j. So we got 4x squared, and I might run out of room writing here, so I might have to zoom out. Okay, so we start by writing this. Now we have to go ahead and expand on the form of that's written right here. So to do that, we're going to FOIL it out. So we'll have hx squared plus kx, so plus kx plus hjx, and then plus kj. So I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit. See if I can, there we go. All right, so plus kj. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and find what we have. We got 4 must be the value of h, since they're both the x squared terms. So 4 is equal to h. We can put that up here. From here, let's go and check if that gives us the answer. Well, all we have then is 45 over 4. That's a fraction. That's not an integer, so we can get rid of that. We have b over 4. We don't know the value of b, so that's not useful. We can go and move on to this negative 45 is equal to kj. So negative 45 is equal to k times j. From there, we can then state that k is equal to negative 45 divided by j. We don't have 45j anywhere in our answer choices, so that's not useful. We can solve for the value of j as negative 45 divided by k. We do have 45 over k here. We know that j is a integer constant. Since j is an integer constant and we have the value of negative 45k, well, that means 45 over k is also an integer constant. So our answer there would have to be c. All right, so from there, we can go ahead and move on, or I'm sorry, D. I said C, but as you can see, we already got rid of C. It's got to be D. All right, so we can go and move on to question number 24. So I'm gonna have to switch sides of my screen and I will zoom back in so that we aren't as zoomed out anymore. Now is a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you have not and turn on notifications. It's a great way to get alerted and stay on track of preparing for the digital SAT. Here's question 24. Given system of equations, A is a constant, graphs of the equations intersect at exactly 1 point, xy in the xy plane. What's the value of x? Okay, anytime you're told something intersects at 1 point, 0 points, or 2 points, pay attention to that. In this case, exactly 1 point. That's telling me that I know my b squared minus 4ac value must equal 0. So from there, let's go ahead and get this all set equal to 0. So we got this 3x plus a. I'll substitute in for the value of y. From there, I'll scratch out y. I'm going to get it set equal to 0, so I'll have 0 is equal to 2x squared minus 24x because I subtract 3x from both sides. And then we have plus 64 minus a. From there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that c is equal to 64 minus a. That way I can substitute in a constant value right here. From here, I will look to, let's see, we've got what's the value of x. All right, so in order for this to equal out to 0, so it's got exactly 1 point, okay. 2x squared minus 24x plus c. All right, so let's see how we can get this all set up to equal 0. It intersects at exactly 1 point. Yeah, so it's got to equal 0. So we could factor out a 2. What am I doing? B squared minus 4ac. Okay, b squared minus 4ac has to equal 0. Sorry, I just was not focused there. Okay, so b value is negative 24. We take that, we square it. Okay, so negative 24 squared minus 4 times a value is 2. And then we got the c values, got to equal 0. Negative 24 squared, we can plug that in the calculator. 24 squared, it's going to be 576. So 576, we got minus 8c equals 0. I'll go ahead and add 8c to both sides. Then we divide both sides by 8. We'll get the value of c. 576 divided by 8. That's going to give us 72. So 72 must be the value of c. From here, I'll go ahead and plug in that 72 is c. Okay, I don't think we actually need to solve for the value of a here, but we can just put up here that that's equal to 72. From here, we need to know what the value of x is, so we need the value of the solution. So now we'll go ahead and factor out that 2. From there, we're going to end up with x squared minus 12x plus 36 equals 0. We can go ahead and continue factoring now. We're looking for numbers that multiply to 36, have a difference of, or sum to negative 12. That's going to be negative 6 and negative 6. Okay, they sum to negative 12 and they add, or they multiply to positive 36. So there we go there. We still have this 2 out front. Okay, from here we see that our solutions then would be x is equal to 6. So the value of x must be 6, which is answer choice C. From here we can move on to question number 25. Isosceles right triangle has a hypotenuse of length 58. I'll quickly draw this. Isosceles right triangle is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Okay, we have a hypotenuse of 58. We can go and divide by root 2 to get the value of our side length. Dividing by root 2 would give us 29 root 2 and 29 root 2. From here, we need to get the value of the perimeter. So we go ahead and sum all of this together. We'd have 58 plus 2 times 29 root 2, which would give us 58 root 2. And we see that'll be answer choice C. So C would be our answer there. We can move on to question number 26. Now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you've not done that already. It's a great way to see my videos when they get posted. And if you're going to hit that subscribe button, you might as well also turn on that notification bell so you are alerted as well. Here's question 26, xy plane. Parabola's vertex 9 and negative 14 intersects the x-axis at 2 points. If the equation of the parabola is written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are constant, which the following could be the value of a plus b plus c. Always pay attention to what you're asked to answer it. In this case, a plus b plus c. Okay, let's go ahead and start by writing out our equations. We've got y is equal to a, which we don't know the value of, and then x minus 9 squared. Keep in mind we're using vertex form. We get the 9 from up here. And then we have to subtract 14. We also get that from up here in the vertex. From here, let's go ahead and expand on this. We're going to get y is equal to a x squared. And then we'd have minus 18x, and then we'd have plus 81, and then that's all going to be subtracting 14. From here, let's go ahead and distribute the a value to all of this. So that's going to be ax squared minus 18ax plus 81a minus 14. Now we've got ax squared plus bx plus c. Let's get what all of our values are equal to. We know a then will equal a. We know that b is going to equal, let's see, so negative 18a x, so negative 18a. We know that c is going to equal 81a minus 14. From here, we need to sum these, so that'll give us a plus negative 18a, and then plus 81a, and then minus 14. All right, so let's go ahead and start with this a minus 18a. That gets us negative 17a, negative 17a plus 81a. We can quickly put in the calculator, and that will give us a positive 64a. So we have 64a minus 14 is going to be our value here. As we can see, we need to know the value of a, whether it's positive or negative. We know that it intersects the x-axis at 2 points. So if I quickly draw this out, okay, we intersect the x-axis at 2 points, and we have a starting y value that's negative. Okay, so at 9 and negative 14 would look something like this. We intersect at 2 points the x-axis, therefore our a value must be positive. Since a must be positive, we know that the minimum value would be something that's greater than negative 14, since this term right here would have to be some positive number. So we can't get to negative 14 and we can't get any lower than it. So our answer would have to be D, and we can move on to question number 27. We've got function f is defined by f of x is equal to negative a to the power of x plus b, where a and b are constants in the xy plane. The graph of y equals f of x minus 15 has a y-intercept of 0, negative 99 over 7. Product of a and b, so a times b, is equal to 65 over 7. What is the value of a? Well, we can go ahead and write this out. So I'll write what y is equal to. Always pay attention to your transformations, whether it's up, down, left, right. In this case, we're going to have y is equal to negative a to the power of x plus b minus 15. We can go ahead and plug in our points. We know that we've got a 0 value for x, so a to the power of 0 is 1, so that would be negative 1 then, plus b minus 15. I'll rewrite this as b minus 16. So b minus 16 is going to equal our y value of negative 99 over 7. From here, I'm going to go ahead and get what b is equal to, and then I'll just substitute it in that equation ab to solve for the value of a. So b must equal negative 99 over 7 plus 16. So I'll put that in the calculator, and I'll first convert 16 into being over 7. So 16 times 7 is 112. So ultimately, I will add 112 to negative 99. That'll give me positive 13 over 7. Okay, so positive 13 over 7 as the value of b. Now from here, let's go ahead and plug that in. I guess first let's get what a is going to equal. So that'd be a is equal to 65 divided by 7 times b. We know the value of b is 13 over 7, so we can plug that in, 13 over 7. We see our 7s would cancel, and we get 65 over 13, 65 over 13. If we put that in our calculators, I believe that's 5, but I'll quickly double check. That is 5. So our answer for the value of a is 5. Okay, that's 5. I'll quickly write that in the center, just in case anyone's watching this on a vertical format. I want it to be very clear. There is 5. Okay, here's question number 1 of section 2. The line graph shows the estimated number of chipmunks in a state park on April 1 of each year from 1989 to 1999. We see on our y-axis, we got the estimated number of chipmunks. X-axis, we have year based on the line graph, in which year was the estimated number of chipmunks in the state park the greatest. We see the greatest point is here, and we see that the year then is 1994, so our answer has got to be B. We can go ahead and move on to our next question. We got question number 2. A fish swam a distance of 5,104 yards. How far did the fish swim in miles? 1 mile is equal to 1760 yards. Always pay attention to anything underlined. In this case, it's a unit conversion question. We take 5,104 yards, we divide it by the number of yards in a mile, so that's 716. We see that we're going to be left with our units in miles. So that's a great way to check that you are setting things up correctly. As you can see, yards are going to cancel. So we put this in our calculator, 5,104 over 1760, and that will give us a value of 1760. It's just a value of 2.9, so our answer has got to be B, and we can go and move on to our next question. Okay, question number 3. Now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you've not done that yet, and also turn on the notification bell so you are notified of my new videos. Here's question number 3, which expression is equivalent to 12x cubed minus 5x cubed. That's going to leave us with 7x cubed. That's just simple subtraction. Answer's got to be C. We'll move on to question number 4. What is the solution xy to the given system of equations? We got x is equal to 5y. I'll plug that in for the value of x. 5y plus y will give me 6y is equal to 18. From there, I divide both sides by 6. Y must equal 3. Only answer choice with y as 3 is going to be A, so A's got to be our answer there. We move on to question number 5. Question number 5. Let me go ahead and switch sides on my screen. All right, there's question number 5. Point 0.82 in the xy plane is a solution to which of the following systems of inequalities? All right, so the 0.82, we got to substitute in. So we got an 8 and a 2. Is 8 greater than 0? Yes. Is 2 greater than 0? Yes. So answer choice A is true. So A is our correct answer there. We move on to question number 6. Absolute value x minus 5 is equal to 10. What is one possible solution to the given equation? Always pay attention to if you're asked to answer with the negative solution or the positive solution or the sum of solutions. So in this case, it's just one possible one. So I'll show you both because I'm feeling generous today. X minus 5 is equal to 10. We'll go ahead and add 5 to both sides. You'll get that X is equal to 15. So 15 is one of your solutions. If I was taking the digital SAT myself, I would just pick this and then move on. But I will quickly show you how to get the other solution in case you don't know how. Since it's absolute value, you take everything within absolute value, you put it in parentheses, apply a negative sign out in front of that, and then set it equal to whatever it was originally equal to. From here, we distribute that negative sign. We're going to get negative X plus 5 is equal to 10. We subtract 5 from both sides. That'll give us 5 is equal to negative X. From there, we then know that X would have to equal a negative 5. So your two possible answers are 15 and negative 5. I would just pick 15 and move on. But anyways, here's question number 7. We got the function gives a total number of people on a company retreat with X managers. What is the total number of people on a company retreat with 7 managers? So we're just plugging in 7 for the value of X since X represents the number of managers. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 plus 1 is 50. So our answer would have to be 50. And we can move on to question number 8. Okay, now's a great time to go ahead and save the video if you are watching it on a platform that allows you to save videos. If you are not, then go ahead and hit the like button if you've not done that yet. And here's question number 8. We got h of x is equal to x squared minus 3, which table gives 3 values of x and their corresponding values of h of x for the given function. Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, so all of our x values are going to be the same. Let's go ahead and check what the value of 1 is. We put in 1, we're going to get 1 squared minus 3. 1 squared minus 3 will give us negative 2. So we can get rid of A. This one looks good. I'll put a check there. C we can get rid of. This one looks good. Put a check there. Next up, we got 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. So both of those won't matter. We can check on 3. If we put in 3 squared minus 3, 3 squared is going to give us 9. 9 minus 3 is going to give us 6. So our answer there would be B. If we look at D, it's got a 3 there and it's got to have a 6 there. So we can go ahead and move on now to question number 9. Function f is defined by f of x is equal to 270 times 0.1 to the power of x. What is the value of f of 0? Well, f of 0 means we put in a 0 for the value of x. 0.1 to the power of 0. I'll quickly write this out. 0.1 to the power of 0 is going to equal 1. Any constant to the power of 0 is going to equal 1. So we would end up with 270 times 1, which is just 270. So our answer there would be D, and we can move on to question number 10. Now is a great time to go ahead and drop a comment letting me know when you are planning on taking the digital SAT and what your goal score is. It's a great way to help me know how to better prepare all of you for the test. Here's question number 10. To estimate the proportion of a population that has a certain characteristic, a random sample was selected from the population. Based on the sample, it is estimated that the proportion of the population that has the characteristic is 0.49 with an associated margin of error of 0.04. Based on the estimate and margin of error, which of the following is the most appropriate conclusion about the proportion of the population that has that characteristic? Well, you just do plus and minus the margin of error. So we've got option A, it is plausible that the proportion is between 0.45 and 0.53. Yes, because you subtract 0.04 and you add it to 0.49 and you would get 0.45 and 0.53. So that is correct. So answer choice A. We can move on to question number 11. We got a moving truck can tow a trailer if the combined weight of the trailer and the boxes is no more than 4,600. So 4,600 is our limit. We got to stay below that or equal to it. What's the maximum number of boxes that this truck can tow in a trailer with a weight of 500 pounds if each box weighs 120 pounds? So I'll use B for boxes. Go ahead and subtract 500 from both sides. You're going to get 4,100 must be greater than or equal to 120B. I'll divide both sides by 120. So 4,100 divided by 120, we'll put that in the calculator and we will get 34.16. So 34.16, keep in mind this must be greater than, okay? So that means B's got to be less than 34.16. You can't have a portion of a box. So our answer there's got to be 34. And we can move on to question number 12. Now's a great time to go ahead and turn on notifications for this video if you've not done so already. Okay, so here's question number 12. We got, what is the positive solution to the given equation? I think I might have said this earlier, but you always want to pay attention to what you're asked to answer with in terms of if it's a positive solution, negative solution, in this case, positive solution. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all set equal to 0. So I'll have negative 4x squared minus 7x. And then plus 36 is equal to 0. From here, I'd look to factor. This doesn't look very easy to factor, so I will use Desmos for this question. So let me go ahead and pull up Desmos. This is, after all, the digital SAT, so you will have access to Desmos on your digital SAT. So that being said, let me go ahead and type in what we've got for our equations. That's going to be negative 4x squared. And then we've got, what is next? Minus 7x. Okay, so minus 7x. And then a plus 36, plus 36. All right, so let me make sure I type that incorrect. Negative 4x squared minus 7x plus 36. We look for where that equals 0. We're asked for the positive solution, so that'll be 2.25. 2.25 is equal to 9 over 4, so our answer there would be B, and we can go ahead and move on. Let me go ahead and hide Desmos now. Okay, so there we go. We can go ahead and move on now to question number 13. We got table summarize the distribution of color and shape for 100 tiles of equal area. If one of these tiles is selected at random, what's the probability of selecting a red tile? Express your answer as a decimal or fraction, not as a percent. All right, so if we're selecting one at random and we're not pulling from anything in particular, our total is 100. We're looking for the probability of selecting a red tile. The total number of red tiles is 30. It says they're all equal area, so 30 over 100. Well, that's going to equal 0.3 when we express that as a decimal, so our answer would be 0.3. We can go and move on to question number 14. We got for the given function f, graph of y is equal to f of x in the xy plane is parallel to line j. What is the slope of line j? If they're parallel, then our slope would have to be 2. And we can move on to question number 15. Now is a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already. Okay, here is question number 15. We got proposal for a new library was included on an election ballot. A radio show stated that 3 times as many people voted in favor of the proposal as people who voted against it. So the amount who voted in favor will represent as F, and it's 3 times those who voted against it, which will represent as A. A social media post reported that 15,000 more people voted in favor of the proposal than voted against it. So F is equal to 15,000 plus A. Based on these data, how many people voted against the proposal? We need to solve for A, so we will substitute in the value of F. So we need 3A then is equal to 15,000 plus A. From there, we go ahead and subtract A from both sides. 2A is equal to 15,000. From there, we're going to divide both sides by 2. 15,000 over 2 will give us 7,500. Okay, 7,500. So our answer there has got to be answer choice A. From there, we can go and move on to question number 16. We've got intersecting lines. If in the figure lines M and N are parallel, if X is equal to 6K plus 13, Y is equal to AK minus 29, what is the value of Z? In order to solve for the value of Z, I need to know the value of this angle, which I know is going to be the same as the value of Y. So I need to solve for the value of angle Y, and keep in mind the value of angle Y and the value of angle X are the same. So because we know that, we can go ahead and set 6K plus 13 equal to 8K minus 29. So we'll go ahead and do that right here. Okay, from this point, I'm going to keep the coefficient in front of K positive, just because that's generally a good strategy. So I'll subtract 6K from both sides. I get 2K. I'll add 29 to both sides. That'll give me 42. From there, I divide both sides by 2. K is going to equal 21. That's not my answer, though. K, because we need to solve for the value of Z. So always watch out for that. Understand what you need to answer with. In this case, value of Z. To solve for the value of Z, I need to know the value of X. So I'll plug in that 21 that I got as the value of K into 6K plus 13. So 6 times 21 plus 13. 6 times 21 will give us 126. 126 plus 13 will give us 139. So 139 is the value of Y and X, which means it's also the value that's right here. From there, 180 minus 139 will leave us with 41 as the value of Z. So our answer has to be 41, which is answer choice C. From here, we can go ahead and move on to our next question. Okay, now's a great time to go ahead and comment and let me know any feedback you have on the video, any ways you think I can make the production quality or the content itself better. Always happy to hear any criticism or advice. Here's question number 17. In the given equation, P is a constant. The equation has no solution. What is the value of P? Well, if there's no solution, we see this isn't a quadratic. It's just something that's linear. We're just dealing with values of X, and it's set equal to a constant. If there is any amount of X, then there will be a solution. So we need to get rid of all the X's somehow. So to do that, we have negative 3X plus 21PX. We need to set this equal to 0 because that's what it needs to equal out to. In order to do that, we know that we can go ahead and add 3x to each side. So that would give us 3x is equal to 21px. From there, we divide both sides by x. We get 3 is equal to 21p. From there, divide both sides by 21 to isolate p. We get that p is then equal to 3 over 21. That's not an answer choice. We need to simplify. Divide both of those by 7. That will give us, or divide both of those by 3. And that would give us, let's see, divide both of those by 3, 1 over 7. So our answer there would be answer choice B, and we can go ahead and move on to question number 18. We got f of x is equal to x minus 10 times x plus 13. Function f is defined by the given equation. For what value of x does f of x reach its minimum? So in this case, we need the x coordinate of our vertex. Get the x coordinate of our vertex. We can take the midpoint of our zeros. Our zeros would be 10 and negative 13. So we would do 10 plus negative 13, or in other words, 10 minus 13 all over 2. Okay, if you take the midpoint of your zeros in a quadratic, you do get the value of x at which you reach your minimum or maximum, depending on the a value. So in this case, 10 plus 13 gives us negative 3 over 2. We see that that'll be answer choice D. So we got answer choice D. We can go ahead and move on to our next question. Now's a great time to go ahead and hit that like button on this video. It's really one of the best ways to support my channel. So please go ahead and consider doing that if you can. So here's question number 19. We got a function f of x is equal to 1/9 x minus 7 squared plus 3. I see this as vertex form, so that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. It gives a metal ball's height above the ground, f of x in inches, x seconds after it started moving on a track, where x is between 0 and 10, which is the following best interpretation of the vertex of the graph of y equals f of x in the xy plane. Okay, well, we know that our minimum height then is going to be positive 3. We know it's our minimum because we have a positive a value. We also see that we have a minus 7, which means that our vertex is at 7 seconds. Okay, positive 7 seconds, and we have a minimum height of 3. We have option A. Metal ball's minimum height was 3 inches above the ground. That's perfect. We can go and move on to question number 20. We've got triangle JKL. We've got cosine. K is 24 over 51, and angle J is the right angle. What's the value of the cosine L? We can go ahead and draw this out. We know J is the right angle, so I'll go ahead and draw J there. And then we've got JKL, JKL. We know cosine is going to be our adjacent over hypotenuse. We know cosine of K is 24 over 51. So 51 is our hypotenuse. The adjacent is going to be 24. From here, we can do 51 squared minus 24 squared. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. 51 squared minus 24 squared. Okay, let me put that in the calculator. Okay, that's going to give us 2025, which we have to take the square root of. That'll give us 45. So 45 is angle L, or not angle, 45 is the side length LJ. From here, we need the cosine of L. So we need the adjacent to L, which is 45, over the hypotenuse, which is 51. So 45 over 51 would be our answer there. Okay, so that one's pretty simple. There's question number 20. From here, we can go ahead and move on to question number 21. I'm going to go ahead and switch sides of my screen, and you can go ahead and take that chance to drop a comment. Let me know any video requests you have that you want me to make in the future. Here's question 21. In the given equation, b is a positive integer. The equation has no real solution. What is the greatest possible value of b? Well, in order for there to be no real solution, we know that it needs to be less than 0. And by I mean b squared minus 4ac. So we'd have b squared minus 4 times a, which is -1 times c, which is -676. From here, we can go ahead and then state that b squared must be less than, we're going to have -4 times -1 is going to give us +4. +4 times 676, I'll put in the calculator, times -676 is going to give us -2704. So we'll add that to both sides, which would give us +2704. From there, we need to take the square root of each side in order to get the value of b. So b must be less than root 2704. If I take the square root of 2704, that gives me 52. B needs to be strictly less than that. What's the greatest possible value of b? Well, b is a positive integer. I think I've said this before, but once again, always pay attention to positive integer, negative integer. If something is an integer versus if it can be a decimal or a fraction, in this case, positive integer. Okay, in order for it to be an integer, the maximum value then would be 51, not 52, since we have to be strictly less than 52. From here, we can go ahead and move on to question number 22. We've got a graph. It looks like if a graph of 3 linear equations is created using the system of equations shown in the equation x plus 4y equals -16, how many solutions xy will the resulting system of 3 equations have? In order for there to be a solution, all 3 would need to intersect at the same point. I'm going to go ahead and convert this equation into slope-intercept and then graph it. So I'm going to end up with y is equal to -x over 4 minus 16 over 4, which is the same as minus 4. So negative slope, and we got -4, so I'm going to draw this out, go over by 4, and up by 1. So it's going to look something like, is that 4 or did I just draw more than 4? 1, 2, I think I drew, oh, that's 5. Okay, let me try to draw this a little bit neater. Okay, it's going to look like this. Okay, over 4, up 1. Okay, so our graph would look something like this basically. As we can see, it looks like that's actually parallel with this. They both have the same slope of -1 over 4, and they have different y-intercepts, so they will never intersect. So we know that these 3 lines will never intersect. So our answer would be 0. Next, we can go ahead and move on to question number 23. Now's a great time to go ahead and smash the like button. But if you've already clicked the like button, then obviously leave it alone because you don't want to unlike the video. With that being said, here's question number 23. We've got f of x equals 5470 times 0.64 to the power of x over 12. Function f gives the value in dollars of a certain piece of equipment after x months of use. Okay, months of use. If the value of the equipment decreases each year, year is underlined. Okay, keep in mind that's because we're contrasting to x months of use by p%. So we're decreasing each year by p% of its value the preceding year. What is the value of p? All right, well, we know that a year is 12 months. We can plug in 12 for x. 12 over 12 will give us 1. So I'm just going to scratch all that and put 1. Okay, from here we see we're decreasing in value of 36% because we're multiplying by the decimal 0.64, which is a decrease of 36%. We're asked to answer in percent, so our answer there would be 36. And we can go ahead and move on to question 24. Okay, if you have any sort of commentary about how you think I can improve the quality of my videos, happy to hear that. Drop a comment. Here's question 24. Dot plot represents 15 values in dataset A. Dataset B is created by adding 56 to each of the values in dataset A, which the following correctly compares the medians and the ranges of datasets A and B. Okay, well, if we're adding 56 to each of the values, then our range is going to remain the same. Obviously, our median will have to increase because we're adding 56 to each of the values. We got option A, median of dataset B is equal to the median of dataset A. No, our median is going to increase. B, median of dataset B is equal to the median of dataset A. No. C, median of dataset B is greater than the median of dataset A. That part is true. And then second part is, and the range of dataset B is equal to the range of dataset A. That part is also true. So our answer there's got to be C, and we can go ahead and move on to our next question. And you can go ahead and like the video. Here's question number 25. Okay, so here is question 25. We got the equation x squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 49 represents circle A. Circle B is obtained by shifting circle A down by 2 units. Always pay attention to shifts down, up, left, and right in the xy plane. Which of the following equations represents circle B? Well, we're not changing our x value at all since we're only doing a shift down, so we need to remain x squared. And also our radius will remain the same, so only difference is here and here. Keep in mind that if we're shifting down by 2 units, we need to actually increase the value that is here by 2. So our answer there would have to be -1 plus 2, which would give us that plus 1 right here. So our answer there's got to be D. You may be thinking that if we are going down by 2 that we need to go from -1 to -3, but that's not true because you need to remember that the center of our circle and our circle equation is in the format of y minus k squared, where k is that y value in the center. So in order for it to move down, we actually need to increase the value of k by 2. Okay, so instead of it being at a -1, we need that to then have it at a +1. If we wanted to move it up, then we'd actually have to change it from a +1 into or from a -1 to a -3. But in this case, we are moving it down. Therefore, we need to go from a -1 to a +1. And if you were to graph it out a circle, which if you are ever struggling on a question like this, just go ahead and draw it out, draw where the centers are in each equation, and you'll be able to figure it out that way as well. So with that being said, we can go ahead and move on to question number 26 now. So we've got 2 identical rectangular prisms, each have a height of 90 centimeters. Okay, so 2 rectangular prisms, each have height 90 centimeters. I'm gonna write that h is equal to 90. Base of each prism is a square, and the surface area of each prism is k. So surface area is equal to k. Keep in mind, we're still using centimeters all throughout this. If the prisms are glued together along a square base, the resulting prism has a surface area of 92 over 47k. Same thing with centimeters, so new surface area would be 92 over 47. Okay, what is the side length in centimeters of each square base? So we're ultimately going to have to solve for S. We know that the surface area being equal to K, we can go ahead and write that that's equal to, keep in mind this is the surface area of each prism before they're glued together. So you're going to have 2 of these square sides that add to the surface area, so 2 times S squared. And then you're going to have plus the 4 rectangular sides, so 4 times the side length times the height, which is 90. So let's go ahead and simplify this down. So 4 times 90S is 360S. So 360S. And so that's the value of K. Now we know that if we didn't glue these together, we would have 2K since each surface area is K, and we have 2 of them separated. Now when we glue them together, we get 92 over 47K, so we can subtract that, find the difference, and this will give us the surface area of 2 square bases. So that's going to be 2 over 47K, 2 over 47 times K is equal to 2S squared. Since S squared is the surface area of one of the squares, we have 2 of them. From here, let's go and divide both sides by 2 to isolate the value of S squared. Divide both sides by 2. Now we have K over 47 is equal to S squared. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. From here, I see I have K is equal to this equation up here, so I'll try to get what K is equal to down here as well. To do that, I'll multiply both sides by 47. That will get me that K is equal to 47S squared. I can set that equal then to 2S squared plus 360S. From there, I can say that we have 0 is equal to, let's see, we would go ahead and subtract 2S squared from each side. That'll give me 45S squared. I always want to keep my coefficient positive in front of my S squared value. And then I'd have to subtract 360S as well. Okay, so now I've got my equation. From here, I'm going to go ahead and we can factor this out. So we'll factor out a 45S. So we factor out 45S, and I know that the S looks like a 5, so I'm actually going to rewrite that S so it looks a little bit neater. So it's 45S is what we can pull out, multiply it by an S minus 8 to get that 360. Therefore, the value of S then, it can't be 0, obviously, so it has to be 8. So the value of S is 8, and our answer there's got to be B. I'll scroll up really quick so you can see which question number that is, since that question did take a little bit. So there it is. Okay, our answer there's got to be B. We can go and move on to question number 27 now. We got 210 is P% greater than 30. So 210 is P% greater than 30. So we start with 30. We're multiplying then by 1 plus P% greater over 100. What is the value of P? Okay, in order to solve for P, we'll distribute our 30. That'll give us 210 is equal to 30 plus 30 over 100, which I'll call 0.3 because I prefer dealing with decimals when I'm dealing with percents like this. Next thing I'm going to do is subtract 30 from both sides. 180 is equal to 0.3. That means P is equal to 180 divided by 0.3. I'm going to put 180 divided by 0.3 in my calculator, and that's going to give me 600 as the value of P. So my answer there is 600 for the value of P. Always double check what you're asked to answer. In this case, it's just the value of P, so our answer got to be 600. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and consider sending a super thanks to help support my channel. Additionally, please drop a comment below letting me know what videos you want me to make in the future. And if you are looking for additional educational services that I offer, please check out my website, haydenrhodea.com.